Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Just checking my levels here. Might be a little too heavy. Okay, how? Still. All right. So, am I coming in clear? Let's see something in the chat to confirm that people are here and everything. All right. Cool. That's one person. All right. So, yeah, here we are today talking about the retrospective on the Cosby Show. Yeah, I'm first of all, I have to say I'm extremely happy with how well this video was received. Um, it's been the best start for a new video for this whole year. Uh, it's kind of funny. Was watching its performance, because when I first put it up, it was like Wednesday evening, and I had wanted to get it out a few days earlier, and uh, as soon as it was like cleared and ready to go, I was like, I need to get this out as soon as possible. So I'll put it out Wednesday evening, which was one of the worst times to drop a video. And when it started off, it was it was very poorly received initially. Not in terms of like people's opinions, but it was literally out of the 10 most recent videos I did, it was 10th, bottom, very bottom. No one was watching it, and I was like, oh, I thought this would do very well or very poorly. Looks like it's going to be very poorly. After the first 24 hours, it shot up to 6th, and I thought like, oh, okay, it'll be pretty well. Most of these sitcom videos, they're usually not superstar performers. They do pretty well, and gradually over time, they're like evergreen videos. They're always pulling in views and stuff. This one did a little more than that. As the days went on, I think it was the third or fourth day, it really started to take off. It was getting as much every hour as it was getting in its like debut hour, which is usually when a video spikes because everyone like jumps on it. And it was yeah, really happy to see it take off like that. And just this whole week has been really strong for it. As you can see in the views, 150K, not too bad for a hour and 50-minute video about a sitcom that's over 30 years old. Really cool. Okay, so yeah, this stream was designed to sort of look back on the video, talk about how it got made and why it got made, and maybe share some stuff that got cut, talk about maybe some future plans, and yeah, just kind of chill out, have a nice Sunday, right? Okay, just to respond to some of the things in the chat, lots of lovely comments, lots of people complimenting me. I really appreciate that. I'm glad so many people liked it. As for, I have been inundated with requests for like the next show to work on. I've already decided what it's going to be, and the next two after it, best I could do is those 3 videos are probably going to take me till the rest of the year. But I will definitely open things up to requests in the future, and there'll be another poll. Yeah, I wish I could produce these quicker and get some of the videos, get more shows covered that people want to see, but sadly I'm one guy, and watching these shows takes a long time. Yeah, it's going to take some time. All right, so, oh yeah, I was on a stream yesterday, if anyone is curious to check out. I was on a show called This Is Revolution. I was a panel, actually, which I didn't know what I was walking into, but it was a really fun time. The other people on were, the 2 hosts were James and Pascal. I don't remember their last names. But they host the show regularly. There was another guy, Marcus, he was really cool, and Napoleon the Legend, who, if you're familiar with the Michael Brooks show, I think he provided the music for that, and I know he's been on a guest on it several times. So check out that video. We talked for an hour and a half or so, mostly about the Cosby Show, but they had so many other topics, and they did a really good time. It was a really good time, and there were a few moments where I felt like it was definitely subject material I wasn't super familiar with, and I was just trying to trying to hold my own, and I think I held up my end of the conversation. And more importantly, we all had a good time. We all had some laughs. As it was going on, one of the co-hosts, Pascal, he's got this poker face, and I was just thinking, because I made a few jokes throughout the stream. I was like, how can I make this guy laugh? And I'm proud to say, by the end of the stream, I did get him with a pretty solid He-Man joke. I won't spoil it because you should just go watch it. It was a good time. Okay, let's look at some of these questions in the chat here. I'll read this one from Mirror Universe is Hot. Of the sitcoms you've deep dived so far, was there a show that was more political than you expected? How about one that was less political than you expected? That's a good question. The first one I did, actually, Roseanne, I wasn't planning to make a video about that at all. I was just watching the old show because I was curious. I missed it the first time, and then I noticed, wow, these political themes are are related to a lot of the stuff I discuss on my channel. I should make a video about this, and turns out that was a really good call because it blew up my channel. It did very well, and it was a lot of fun. Less political, though. I feel like I was spoiled a bit by that Roseanne video. So, I knew the Murphy Brown one would be political, obviously. But when I went to Home Improvement, I expected more political commentary. It was more social politics, I guess. I don't know why I thought it would have more, but for some reason I did. And I was kind of taken aback at how little there was, especially considering how conservative Tim Allen was. Maybe it just feels like he couldn't really share it. Oh, someone's asking for a link to the stream in the description of this stream. Does that do anything? Sure, I can do that. That'll take a moment here. I'm going to do it in front of everyone, because why the hell not? Everyone. And while the stream thing is open in another tab, so I'm going to do it here. All these chats coming in. Sure. There is now a link in the stream description box. I don't know why, but we're doing that, but sure. Okay, let me just quickly catch up. When am I going to do an episode on Twin Peaks? I have no idea. I've never seen Twin Peaks. I've always wanted to. I just have never gotten around to do it. And okay, have I watched History of the Sitcom? No, I probably should. Trying to look at questions right now, but I'm appreciating all these comments. I am reading them. And as someone asked if I'm doing other sitcoms, yes, I'm working on a show right now. I'm not ready to talk about which show it is yet because I'm not even halfway through. I'm maybe 40% of the way through. And it's a long show, but I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to talking about it in a video. Which character from any show of I deep dive have I related to the most? Oh, God. That's so tough. I mean, what shows did I do? I really don't know. I don't think I've personally related to anyone. I've come close a couple of times. I usually just make a joke about relating to people in the sitcom. Someone in the show I'm covering now, I felt like I was relating to. And that's the thing about sitcoms. They'll always the characters will take a left turn and suddenly ooh, I'm not that guy anymore. I don't know if I can answer that. Let's see next. Why is your picture a birdie? It's a drawing I made when I made the channel. I thought it was cute, so I made it my icon. What is the worst sitcom you've ever watched? Oh, that is so tough. Also, why are we doing Q&A now? I should be talking about the Cosby Show. We'll give it a few minutes, and then we'll we'll go to the whole point of this video or this stream. Then, worst sitcom I've ever watched is so difficult. I don't want to cop out and say oh, The Big Bang Theory, because everyone just sort of dumps on that show, and it wasn't the worst. I'd have to give that some thought. I don't know what the worst one is. I've seen some really bad ones. I don't know. Let's say Wings. Why not? I feel like making fun of Wings for some reason. All right. Vosh said I was a hunk. He's literally never seen me as far as I know, but thanks. And no, we can't see my face. You'll just have to picture someone very handsome. Picture a hunk and just imagine that's me. Someone asking for a Cheers video or a MASH video. MASH would be super interesting, and Cheers would be super interesting as well, because they both have the highest rated series finales ever for sitcoms. MASH was the most watched episode of anything, its series finale, until like the Super Bowl in 2016 or 2017. Like 100 million people watched that. It was insane. And then Cheers was not too far off. It was like 80 something million. Interesting stats. How do you feel like the show properly atoned for the way it treated Theo? I think you mean the dyslexic Huxtable child. The pilot up is rough, speaking to someone who struggled a lot in school. Atonement, probably not. There is that moment where Vanessa calls out her parents, and it's sort of played off for laughs. I think what they wanted to focus on was Theo doing well and succeeding, showing that you could overcome adversity. Never mind the fact that, maybe his parents could have done a better job being cognizant of his needs and demands. But they didn't. And that's, yeah, I don't know. The Huxtables had a weird relationship with Theo. It's taking me a while to get through these comments, by the way. So I'm gonna try and move quickly. Oh, and I lost my pace. Someone was asking about the Gundam Seed movie. Oh, you did not hear the news that they're making it? It's coming out sometime next year, I believe. There's gonna be a new manga. It's super exciting. Look up Gundam Seed. Ooh, what is it? Ignited or something? That's the name of the project. They're also putting up a giant Freedom Gundam in China. I think having a giant monument called Freedom in China seems ironic, but there we go. Are there any shows where you were surprised by the reactionary or right-wing politics in them? I think a lot of these sitcoms have surprised me to a degree, maybe because I look back on some of the ones I watched with rose-colored glasses, but the deeper you get into some of them, you can see a lot of conservative politics. It's pretty surprising. Do I have any thoughts on WandaVision? I love the first 3 episodes. I thought the 4th episode would have been a great finale, but then there were 6 more episodes. It's too bad. I think it could have been better, like the other Marvel shows, if it had been just 6 episodes and focused on sort of the strange storytelling aspects. Also, the introduction of Photon was kind of like, for those who don't know, Photon was the new character. She was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, I think, who got powers. I don't know why she was there. Any plans to do All in the Family? I would love to do All in the Family. Right now, what scares me from that is the distributor is very vigilant on copyright claims. So I'm reluctant to take that one on. Maybe one day. It would be a lot of fun. There was a recommendation for European sitcoms. That would be cool because they're so much shorter. I'm sort of debating on that. Maybe one day, but right now. Did I grow up on black sitcoms? If so, did you watch it in Living Color? Martin, Wayne Brothers. I did watch Martin and In Living Color. I did not watch much of the Wayne Brothers, though. I don't know. I feel like I just wasn't so into them. And I don't know. I sort of had a balanced diet of sitcoms, I guess. I did watch, some starring black families, white families, and just whatever was on TV, basically. I watched a lot of sitcoms. Can I make a retrospective on Frasier? That would have to come after a retrospective on Cheers. So if you see one on Cheers ever on my channel, you should know it's coming up. Would I ever review Gilmore Girls or those kinds of shows? Possibly, even if they're not sitcoms. I'm sort of thinking of doing retrospectives on non-sitcom shows. Okay. Favorite deep dive? I don't know. I used to say Married with Children, but now probably The Cosby Show. I think I really enjoyed putting that one together, even though it was kind of a nightmare. Oh my God, there's so much chat here. I'm having trouble keeping up. Okay, everyone who asked a question, I haven't gotten to it yet. I want you to please just put that on ice, take a moment, and we're going to do Q&A a little bit later. Right now, I want to talk about the Cosby Show video, even though I'm having a great time answering all these questions. There will be time for questions later, I promise. Okay, the Cosby Show video. Why did this get made? That's a very good question I just asked myself. The reason this got made was because I decided I wanted to ask the people, basically, what they wanted to see in my next sitcom retrospective. And the first 2 I did were Roseanne and Murphy Brown, and those were both my ideas. So I put a poll up afterwards, and I just put 5 shows on there. Let me see if I can pull up that first poll. And we can see what the original poll looked like. And down we go. When was this? You know, you'd think I'd be prepared and have done this earlier, but I did not. Here we go. And let's just put it up. This is from all the way back in 2019, I believe. Ooh, can I get this into dark mode? There we go. We can't vote, but I know what the results are. And hold up here. I'm just going to do a quick change. So it was, I know how I should have done this. There we go. Much better, right? Okay. Also, for security purpose, I'm just going to make a quick change to my account here. And yeah, so there you can see the results of the first poll. About just under 1,300 votes, and Home Improvement won, with Married Children coming in second. Then we had Family Matters and Cheers. That was the first result, and that's what decided to how I made my decision to go with this. Go with Home Improvement as the third one, and then Married with Children as the fourth one. And then afterwards, I looking at the old ones, I was thinking, like, you know, I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna go back to a poll because I didn't know how well those things had stuck in terms of popularity. So let's see if I can get the other one up. And there was another poll. This one got a lot of votes. This one had what? 7,000 votes. Yikes, 7.2. That's a lot. Let me just quickly snag it. And this was 7 months ago. And we'll see how this one turned out. And there you go. We see dinosaurs. The Cosby Show narrowly beat out the Cheers Frasier two-parter, and then we had the Golden Girls and All in the Family very low at the bottom, which kind of made me sad. But hey, that's why I decided to do dinosaurs and then the Cosby Show. Fun fact: the Cosby Show has done more in 1 week than dinosaurs has in like the last 3 months. So sometimes these polls don't necessarily tell you what's up. But still, it's a good framework for figuring out generally what people want. And yeah, thankfully people enjoyed it. Okay. I am just gonna make one quick change here. And when I did the Cosby Show one, I remember there were a lot of comments, people saying things like, if you do the Cosby Show, you're gonna have to like really make a real effort here. This is a super important topic. It's something that could easily get screwed up. Sorry, I've been a little distracted because I realized I just dropped like the autofill password thing on stream, and I just kind of need to check to see like I did not just let that go on screen, and I did not. Okay, so we're all good now. I probably shouldn't have said that, but whatever. Anyway, so I got a lot of comments telling me that the Cosby Show is it's a really heavy topic, and when a lot of people talk about it, they don't necessarily treat it in the way they probably should. There's a lot of assumptions made. People sort of look at Cosby as, this father figure for all of America, just, beloved and appreciated by everyone. And that isn't always the case, particularly when it came to viewers in the Black community. And that's sort of complicated, right? It's not as simple as that. And that complication was something I really wanted to explore in the video. And yeah, I think I did that. Right. So I had a really good time diving into that kind of commentary. It was something I hadn't really done in a sitcom retrospective in the past. And because usually it's just my own take on something. And while I think that's good, and as many, historical facts as I can muster up, it's also limited. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the blueprint going forward. I think The Cosby Show is very much a special case. And the history angle as well is not quite as big a deal. For instance, if I was doing, let's say I was doing Home Improvement again, I don't necessarily need to go into the history of sitcoms or of family sitcoms, because even though it's definitely in that lineage, it's not something where it wasn't the trendsetter. It wasn't sort of the paradigm shift that The Cosby Show was. In so many ways, not just for Black-led sitcoms, but for sitcoms in general. It was a major moment. It was very important. And let me just quickly, because I wrote some notes here, address some of the responses I got to this video. A lot of people were very positive and nice, and that's always wonderful. There were a few comments that expressed utter shock to that the idea of The Cosby Show or the Huxtables being thought of as middle class, and by today's standard, I can see how that doesn't quite sit properly. They were meant to be middle class in the 1980s. That much is absolutely true. But it's sort of like the reactions I got to the Roseanne video when people saw this working class family and they had, this gigantic house. Well, not gigantic, but the fact that they had their own house was something where they were like, they have a home. Even if they have a mortgage, even if they have demands, that's something a lot of working class families don't necessarily have today. So a lot of people were trying to say they would be middle class by today's standards. And people would say the Cosbys were upper class because, doctors, lawyers. And, I guess because the last sort of wealthy family I covered were the Bankses, they're obviously wealthy, obviously upper class. It was hard for me to put the Huxtables in that category, even though, Claire is also a lawyer, just like Philip Banks. But they don't seem to be living quite as lavishly. So yeah, I would say upper middle class is probably the compromise we want there. Fair enough. Another comment that I saw a lot of was about the amount of time I spent on the allegations against Bill Cosby. Some people said there was too much. Some people said there was not enough. I would say that I was probably erring on the side of not enough, if anything. People say there's too much. I don't know. There were a couple of minutes. And I didn't spend much time throughout the video because the whole point of the video was, there were earlier versions in my mind where I was thinking, it's something I'm going to have to mention throughout the video. But then I thought it would be better to present the story chronologically. That's why it opens up with history, and we move through Cosby's career and also the changing landscape of television. And then eventually we ended up with the show, how it started, and then all of the things that came out afterwards. I thought that just made the most sense to me. So the allegations really only gained mainstream attention towards the end of the run of The Cosby Show. And, or not the run of The Cosby Show, of recent history. It maybe should have been a bigger deal when they first came out in 2004 and 5, but sadly it wasn't a bigger deal than eventually, thankfully, that Hannibal Buress thing came out and more people found out about it. I could have spent more time talking about it, definitely, but I think it works out the way it did now, and I didn't want this to be a video so wholly about Bill Cosby. He is obviously the shadow that casts, that long shadow that casts over the series, definitely. But I think it would be a disservice that to the rest of the show to focus exclusively on that and not sort of understand it in a broader context. It's just a case of, Cosby seemed to sign everything on there, and it's so much of his own thing. Just to letting a lot of these comments go by, and I'm not addressing them, sadly. So, A Different World. I'm glad I included that section because I was happy to mention the spinoff. I watched about a season of it while I was going through it. And I watched some of the episodes post season 1 when Debbie Allen took over and the quality just dramatically improved. And I thought that was a fun aside, and it's something I want to do more of in these sitcom retrospectives. Obviously, I need to mention every spinoff. So far, most of the shows I've covered haven't had particularly exciting spinoffs. I'm just sort of thinking of the ones that even did. Married with Children had a few that were all unremarkable. Is that it? Was that the only one? I think so. So the fact that I could take some time to be like, oh, let's talk about A Different World for a bit was a lot of fun. I don't know if I'm going to be making a video on it just yet. I'd like to in the future, especially since it's only 6 seasons. Just the idea of watching a show that's only 6 seasons. That sounds really nice. But for now, I'm not going to be tackling A Different World. I might add it to a poll in the future. And I'm trying to think of little breaks like that for the videos where I can have a little aside or a tangent. I'm not sure what I'll do for the next. Oh no, I have an idea for the next one. Now that I say it, and I can't even talk about the show, so let's not dwell on that. All right, so there are also some comments. I feel like I have to address this. A lot of people have left comments under the video trying to defend Bill Cosby, saying he was innocent. I just want to make it crystal clear, absolutely crystal clear. He is, in my opinion, 100% guilty. I believe the women. I think the guy did some horrible stuff. The excuses I've seen are range from laughable to outright disgusting. So yeah, those comments, I don't know how to handle them. YouTube certainly doesn't filter out that sort of thing. I don't even know how to feel about deleting them or not, but I'm not fond of people who said that. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about some of the stuff that was cut out from the video. So I can't really show clips or else the stream is going to get flagged, and we don't want that, right? We don't want the stream flagged. So you're going to have to settle with descriptions. There was a whole section about Theo that was going to be in this video. There was the one talking about him being a teacher, working with the kids in his after-school program. But there was an earlier section where I was going to talk about Theo's dating life and some of the just insane Theo stories that are out there. There was one episode. All right, I'll try to describe it as best I can. Theo, at one point in an episode, discovers a dead body. And I know you're all like, wait, what? Like on the Cosby Show. And that was my reaction when I was watching this episode. I stopped and I was like, whoa. What is going on? Theo found a dead body? And so what problem with this episode is it turned into a thing where Theo is interviewed by the news and he thinks he's going to be a big celebrity and a star. And it just turns into some sort of cheesy sitcom thing where Theo thinks he's going to be famous. And the whole time I was watching this episode, I'm like, are they going to get back to the dead body and what that was all about? And it's like, no, it's just a story about Theo. Theo wanted to be famous, and he's not going to be famous because the news loses interest in Theo, and they just tell a story about birds in the backyard that Rudy finds. And then Rudy gets to be on the news. And I was just kind of shocked that was the premise they went with. There are so many other ways for someone to be interviewed on the news, but finally finding a dead body was pretty extreme. There was also a longer discussion about Theo's dating life, particularly. I didn't get to mention Justine, his girlfriend. Oh, the actress who played him. Let me just quickly look her up so I can, give her full credit. Michelle Thomas. She was excellent on the show as Justine, and she also played Myra on Family Matters, if anyone remembers her. Sadly, she passed away. I believe it was in the 90s, about 20 years ago or so. And she and Malcolm Jamal Warner were actually really close friends. Apparently was with her towards the end. And I wish I could have acknowledged her a little bit more fully. She was only in a handful of episodes, but I thought she was really good. If I ever get around to doing a Family Matters video, I'm definitely going to focus on her performance. And to the comment from Lacey, Myra was the best. Steve definitely should have picked her. She liked him for who he was, unlike, Laura. And anyway, we're not going to get on a Family Matters tangent here, but I felt like that should have been the thing that could have happened. And so that Theo section had a lot of weird stuff about his dating life because he dated a lot of different women. There was one moment that was particularly creepy. Again, I'm going to have to just describe this for you. It's Cliff's birthday, and it's Cliff's birthday, and he wanted to have an adult party. That is, just the adults, no kids. Kids can all sit out for this one. So he invites his friends over, and they all come around, and they sit down. And one of them is a guy who happens to be divorced, and he has to be taking care of his daughter. So she shows up, and Cliff tries to convince Theo to take care of her. It's like, you need to distract her, go out with her, take her to your friends or something. And he's like, Theo is in high school. He's 16, 17. And he's saying, people were shocked about an adult party. It's just a dinner party, people. It's nothing shady. So Cliff and Theo are talking in the kitchen, and Theo's like, I don't want to take this girl. She's 13. She's not going to fit in with my cool teen friends. And Cliff's like, yeah, she's a pretty girl. She can fit in. And Theo's just like, Dad, when I look at her, all I see is a 13-year-old girl. And I was like, very good, Theo. That's the right response. But Cliff doesn't let it go. He's like, yeah, she's 13 years now, but in a couple of years, she's going to be growing up, and she's still going to be really pretty, 17, 18. Maybe that's something you're going to want to revisit. So you might want to be nice with her now. And it was this grotesque grooming conversation. I was just like, what is this? That would never fly today. Even then, I don't know if that would have been suitable. It was probably the most grotesque thing Cliff did on that show, trying to get his son to groom a 13-year-old just so he could have an undisturbed party. It was not great. Not a great scene at all. If I remember the resolution, Theo decides to take her out to be with his friends, but just as friends, not with any sort of designs on her. And it didn't take a dark turn there, thankfully. But the fact that people thought that was totally fine in a family sitcom in the 1980s kind of blows my mind. Another thing I didn't get to was Cliff's reaction to Denise's marriage to Martin in season 6. There's an episode where he and Martin are talking, man to man, and Cliff sort of references, you have a daughter from a previous wife, and I don't remember exactly how he did it, but it was a very roundabout way of him asking, how experienced Denise was. And when Martin sort of revealed, Denise was not experienced, and the subtext was, Denise was a virgin when she got married, and Cliff just celebrates. He's just jubilant. He's like, yeah, all right. And it's like, you should not care about your daughter's virginity that much, or at all, to be honest. Well, I mean, you want your daughter to be safe. I get that. That makes perfect sense. But this, the ownership of Denise's chastity was just another one of those relics of the past that was very creepy. And honestly, it was one of those things that was uncomfortable, and I couldn't figure out how to put it in, and that was another thing I cut out. So a lot of messed up stuff happened on the Cosby Show that I didn't necessarily include. Yeah, it was a heck of a moment. Whew. Okay. Some other stuff I didn't get to include. One thing, a positive thing I didn't include. I should clarify. The reason he was concerned was about Denise's experience before she got married. He was speaking specifically on their honeymoon, what it was like. So finding out she was a virgin on the honeymoon was why he was excited. Just to clarify. Still weird, but yeah. Someone asked me if I considered including the stand-up bit about Spanish Fly. There's so many like questionable bits in his early stand-up I could have included. I decided not to. But yeah, it was a weird one. Anyway, so let's look at the good stuff. Good things I didn't include that I would have liked to include. I just wasn't sure how to. One of the neat things about representation on the show was that you had a lot of different. There were definitely a lot of black characters, of course, but they weren't all the same in the sense that they were from different parts of the world. They all tended to be sort of middle, upper class, or upper middle class. But I thought it was cool that you would see black characters from, for instance, the Caribbean, or even from Africa. It sort of created this more international identity, I guess. I wasn't really sure how to talk about it in the video, other than I thought it was neat. I liked when characters from the Caribbean showed up. They weren't just like generically from the Caribbean. They would be like, I'm from Trinidad. They wouldn't say that directly, but you know what I mean. They'd say they're from Trinidad. They're from the Dominican Republic. They're from Haiti. They're from different actual places, speaking in their authentic accents. And I was like, that was neat. It was something I didn't see a ton of. And that was something I couldn't fit in the video, unfortunately, because obviously I don't know what to say about it. But that was actually a positive thing I really appreciated. And there was a real attempt to make the show appear more diverse, I guess, in that way. And of course, there were like the endless stream of friends, which was... There were so many friends on the show. The Huxtables had just dozens and dozens of friends. Very rarely did you see repeat friends on that show, which I thought was kind of weird. I mean, it's great. They're friendly. They got friends. But it didn't really seem like they had a solid group they hung out with. I never quite figured out why that was. Maybe they just didn't want to have to... they didn't want to have to pay regular actors there. But it was another strange one. But that was still kind of neat, and it was always fun watching like guest actors pop up and then seeing them, recognizing them from other shows. Like I didn't mention, for instance, that in the season 1 episode, the slumber party one. Maybe I can pull that up here somewhere so we can have like a visual aid. I should have put a caption area. Here it is.
Well, how did he get in the house?
I can't even hear it. But
outside when he's sick, everybody get in line.
Strict discipline of the
Everybody
kids.
get in line.
A father having fun
One of the kids,
with kids.
I don't even know who one is. Is it her? Was a young Alicia Keys. So that was kind of neat. And there were another. Yeah, see, someone said Alicia Keys is one of the kids there. That was the thing I forgot to put a caption on because I didn't know which kid it was. So I didn't. Another one I didn't point out was, where is it? A little earlier. Oh yeah, Stacey Dash was one of Denise's friends. She was the one who had the false alarm when it came to a teen pregnancy. And there were another one, like, God, why can't I remember her name well? Daphne Maxwell Reid, who played the second Aunt Vivian. She was one of Claire's friends in an episode. There were a lot of little cameos like that. I think the only one I pointed out was like Adam Sandler making a racist joke. Where was that? You saw the video. It's in there somewhere. And there were a couple other ones that were really good. Lynn Thigpen. I didn't get to mention Lynn Thigpen because I feel like everyone, especially me, only remember her from Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. But she's been in a lot of other stuff too. Whew. Okay. Oh, people not see the Adam Sandler thing? Let me see if I can pull it up here. This would be easier if I had timestamps, but you know, Adam Sandler timestamp. That's an easy thing. There it is.
Like you do, people
And
think you can
we'll
play. Isn't
see,
that what you folks think? Right?
There he
Tall,
is.
flat, slam.
Young Adam Sandler. That was his first ever acting role. In an interview, he said like that's what convinced his parents that he could make it as an actor because he was on the Cosby Show. He was on several episodes as one of Theo's friends. Were they particularly good friends? I don't know. I felt like Theo was better friends with Denny and obviously Cockroach. There's a factoid I didn't get to include in the video. Cockroach was kicked off the show because Bill Cosby didn't like his new haircut. Allegedly. I couldn't confirm that as well as I would have liked, but I was so sad to see him go because he was really good. Easily like number one friend of like Theo's crew. But sadly he didn't stick with us. And if we're going to blame the Cosby Show for Adam Sandler, I would blame Saturday Night Live more for Adam Sandler's success, but we can blame the Cosby Show too. Sure, I got no problem with that. A lot of blame to go around for the Cosby Show. Or not for the Cosby Show, for Adam Sandler. Or do we blame people for the Cosby Show? Probably not. I wouldn't say that. Okay, so yeah, that's a bit about it for. Oh no, wait, there was more stuff I cut. I'm considering doing like because there were certain things that were produced that I just lifted out of the video entirely, like whole scenes. There was one. How do I describe this? So this goes back to the allegations that were made against Cosby that I decided to cut this out because it was my experience watching the show, and I feel in a way it was kind of robbing the story of this person. So there was another weird episode where Theo's teacher, one of Theo's teachers, is playing this really weird, strange game with her class where they're trying to guess what her race is. Yeah, that was what she was doing. She was of some kind of combination of other different ethnic backgrounds. So she was having her students guess what they were, and eventually they figured it all out. And Theo was like, "Oh, that was really fun. You should like play this with my parents, right?" So Theo invites his teacher back to his home, and they all sit around, and Bill Cosby does the same thing where they're trying to guess where this woman is from. And I noticed something. When Bill Cosby sits down next to this woman, she suddenly started fidgeting and was nervous. And I remember in the first scene, she was so cool, calm, collected, just very in control of herself. But in that moment, she seemed, I don't know, she was like fidgeting with her clothing, and she just seemed really uncomfortable. The episode went on as normal. Cliff makes a fool of himself trying to guess this woman's race. The whole point is, you know, you can't just guess someone's race by looking at them, right? But when I looked up this actress's name on Google, I found out, as you might have guessed, she was one of the women who accused Cosby. And yeah, I listened to the video of her explaining her story, how he harassed her while they were backstage. It was bizarre. Like, I don't even remember necessarily if he put his hands on her or anything, but he got very close and said like weird, creepy stuff, and obviously made her deeply uncomfortable. And that's sort of a moment where when you realize that and you go back and watch this show, and there's certainly women who are on the show who had much worse experiences with Cosby, it's hard to, at least for me, to sort of ignore that. And that's something I mentioned in the video. And that anecdote was going to be included to sort of exemplify that whole thing. But I suddenly felt very awkward doing that. I felt like this was her story to tell, and I was making it my story, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't square it in my head and include that in a way that made me feel comfortable. If people are interested, you can look up her story. Her name was Eden Svendal. I can't. It's Svendahl, I believe. Her last name is Turl now, Tirl. If you're curious about the story, I would recommend checking out the video where she makes her public statement. And if you're not, that's totally fine too. Another thing I cut out that was completely produced, recorded and edited and everything was a great clip with Felicia Rashad summing up the show. It was one of the last things. It was going to be one of the very last things at the end of the video, where we're struggling, like, well, how do we even think of the Cosby Show? And she had this wonderful comment about how she met Nelson Mandela, and Mandela said he would watch that show when he was locked up in prison, and that show he would watch it with his guard, and watching it softened his guard, and he just like what a powerful moment. And the way Felicia Rashad says it has such gravitas, such depth. And I was like, that's such a wonderful sentiment to go out on this video. But then it all comes back to Bill Cosby, doesn't it? Bill Cosby got released from prison. Felicia Rashad had that horrible tweet where she was celebrating, and I got annoyed at her, so I just removed it entirely from the video. Yeah, so that's what I did there for that video. That's how things get cut sometimes. Sometimes people annoy me, and a nice little thing that was going to include in the video gets removed. So there we go. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other things did I cut. I was considering doing a deleted scenes video. I wouldn't upload it to this channel because I don't think that's suitable. And if I cut something else, pardon me, if I cut something from a video, it's because it's either not good or it just doesn't fit in. But we'll see if I get around to doing that. My time is a bit limited. For those who are sort of curious about peek behind the scenes, I'm working on 3 different videos right now. If people are curious about when the next one's coming out, I actually recorded it last night. I haven't even started editing the audio yet. It's about an hour of audio. Probably end up being like 30 minutes or something. I talked about it on the This Is Revolution podcast, so I guess I can share it here. I'll talk about it later. The other 2 things I'm working are a little more related in that they're both about TV shows. The next sitcom retrospective is, of course, full steam ahead. I'm about 40% of the way through watching it, maybe 35. It's taken some time, but thankfully this is one of those shows I really enjoyed. I am enjoying watching. It's funny because the Cosby Show, there were some episodes that were just not great, that weren't fun to watch, that kind of were a drag. On the flip side, I'm having a lot of fun watching the current show, and I hope that's revealed. And I think that's something that comes across in these retrospective videos. I don't know if anyone notices, but when the Cosby Show video had a lot of discussion about the show, like the discourse around the show rather than the show itself, because I think that's the more interesting thing. Whereas, like the Roseanne video, there was a lot of discussion about what happened on the show and a lot of behind the scenes stuff, because that's what was really interesting. And it varies from show to show. The sort of things I find interesting. And you can probably guess, if I spent a lot of time talking about the content of the show, I was having a good time watching. and some of it changes over time, of course. Like another show that was tough for me to get through was Home Improvement. Not because it was bad, but because I just wasn't having as much fun watching it as I did with Roseanne and Murphy Brown. And I feel like I've developed a better work ethic when it comes to watching shows. So even when I don't necessarily feel it, I can sort of get into the mood. Someone asking for a hint about what the next one will be. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to provide any new information here. But what I will do is I am just going to find a bit of democracy here. And, oh, see, that was the last poll. Also fewer votes for the next poll, which is kind of thing. And without spoiling which specific one it's going to be, these were the results from the last poll. It's still open for voting, but this is what it looks like so far. So, your guess is as good as mine. It could be any of these, right? It could be any of these, but definitely one of the shows on here. So there you go. And I hope everyone enjoys it when it's eventually ready. Okay. I'm also like hoping to get a little bit outside of sitcoms in the future, just because they take so long to watch. Just so long. They're fun to do, and I think sitcoms deserve that kind of attention, because not enough people do. But yeah, I just wish I could produce these videos quicker, because a lot of people seem to really enjoy them. So yeah, in the future we'll oh yeah, I didn't mention the third video I was working on. I'm doing a collaboration with Mexi. I hope people look forward to that, because that's going to be so fun. It's going to be a video when it drops. Everyone is going to be like, this? Really? This? But I want you all to watch it, because it will blow your mind, and it's going to be so good. It's going to be TV related, but yeah. I'm so excited about this. It's probably the video I'm most excited about, even though I'm pretty sure most people are gonna balk at the idea of watching this show. Just give it a shot, everyone. Just give it a shot. And there won't be a face reveal. I just saw that popped up in the chat. It's super chat from Tyler Lindsay Delise. I did not know that Sabrina, I'll read it. I've been rewatching Sabrina, 90s. It's so weird. Like, it has a conservative leaning, but also very progressive, and the budget was huge. Yeah, that was a weird show. It was such a weird show. I'd like to revisit it someday. Fun fact, if you want some lore about Jose, I had a huge crush on Melissa Joan Hart when I was younger. I'm not sure why. Well, I mean, I can guess why, but I don't know. It was a special. I think I went over this in my last stream when we were talking about Kevin Sorbo. I thought he was awesome. He was like my hero. And then seeing him in that God's Not Dead movie was just like heartbreaking. And then seeing Melissa Joan Hart do in God's Not Dead was just like, no, how many more childhood icons are going to be stolen by this franchise? Yeah, so that was a thing that happened. Okay. Yeah, she did have that girl next door vibe, which I guess is something that connects to me. All right. What else do I have to say about the Cosby Show? Not a heck of a lot. I feel like the video said most of what I wanted to say. Oh, wait, there were a few really good comments I liked. One thing I liked that someone pointed out to me on in the comments and on Twitter, which was very nice of them, when discussing that painting that sold for $12,000, it wasn't just demonstrating that the Huxtables had a lot of money. One thing this person brought up is that this is an example of like art by a black artist featuring black subjects that are shown to be of value, which is something that's not super common, something you don't see very often, and that was like a very big shift in how art is perceived. I thought that was a really cool comment. That was a bit of commentary I wish I had included. That was neat. Another super chat from Tyler. The most wild thing about the show was the addiction episode actually had a good message saying that addiction is a disease and people need help. Wow, that's really good. I don't remember that. It's been a while since I watched that show, so that's probably why. But yeah, that's a lot of sitcoms would present addiction as something, as like some scary, nefarious thing that would invade your homes and corrupt your children. But the idea of helping someone with an addiction, it never really gets handled. It seemed just more like fighting the threat from outside. And when it gets in, it's like, it's because someone has made a bad choice or they're of low moral character. And there's a lot of judging that goes on, which is a problem. Someone asked if the Huxtables paved the way for the Obamas, in my opinion. No, I don't think that's the case. That's pretty good, though. That was a wild thing in the video, too. I can't believe people were saying that. Although it came from like a weird place. Like it was from Newt Gingrich or someone who first said something like that. It was someone on the right, like someone I sort of would give side eye no matter what they say. So, yeah, I wouldn't give that thing too much, that position too much credit, and be skeptical of anyone who pushes it, because you never know. Someone keeps asking how old I am. Old enough. Older than people think, but also not actually old, if that makes sense. I like to keep myself mysterious. I have a very young voice. I also have a very young face. Kind of a weird thing. My whole family's like that. It's nice. I mean, I'd rather live longer, but looking young is cool too. Oh yeah, I'm 73. No. Okay. So let's throw it open to the chat a little bit more. Any questions specifically about the oh wait, got another super chat. Thanks for reading my supers. Really just wanted to put this idea in your head. But yeah, Smashing Pumpkins was in the 4th episode. Thanks for all the content you made. This is to support you. Thank you so much. That's right. The Smashing Pumpkins were in the 4th episode of Sabrina. They had a lot of guest stars. I think it was really over the top. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll do that show one day. I feel like the whole TGIF lineup could be a special video, so I don't dwell on a specific show for too long. I could talk about some Full House, talk about some Family Matters, Step by Step. There were a lot of shows that I don't necessarily want to spend an entire video on, but might be nice to do. Oh yeah, we did just read 100 likes. Why does it say monetization is off, especially when I'm getting super chats? This is confusing. Here, let me turn it on so I'm making money, right? That's the whole point of this. Whatever. Okay. Let's, what I wanted to do, throw things to the chat. Let's specifically talk about The Cosby Show. Questions about The Cosby Show. And we got one here right off the top. Would you rather live in a world with or without The Cosby Show? I don't think, I don't know what the world, would it really change? Because the thing is, we would have less shows like The Cosby Show, which is kind of good, but also on the other hand, we might not have sitcoms at all. So we wouldn't even be here today. So I guess with The Cosby Show. Also had a successful video about it. I'm happy for that. I don't know necessarily if it would change the world in a particularly meaningful way. Although it would mean a different world as well if we get rid of The Cosby Show, and I think a different world had a more positive impact. There was an interesting stat I couldn't quite verify, but they said it quadrupled the number of people who applied to historically black colleges because they were inspired by the show. And I thought that was really cool and interesting. So if nothing, let's say the Cosby Show gave us a different world. What channel did The Cosby Show come on when I viewed it growing up? It was only in reruns. I don't remember. It was one of the local affiliates here for a big network, I imagine. I don't know. I don't remember. I saw repeats, just not a lot of them. Which season did I like best? Ooh, that's a tough one. Probably like season 3 or 4. None of the seasons particularly sticks out in my head. Not for any good or bad reason. It just, they all kind of blurred together. But I remember season 4 felt like it was kind of coming together. Or no, wait. Not season 4. That's when Lisa Bonet left, and I liked her on the show. Maybe season 3 then. Her last, like, normal season, because she was barely in 5. And in 6, she was just, and 7, I don't know. It felt like a different character then. Like it was written to be more like Lisa Bonet than Denise, which I thought was a problem. What did I make of the Cosby Show? Oh, wait, what happened to Eric Alexander's character by the end? Did the show just forget about her? It forgot about her. We never find out if she goes to college, which is unfortunate. I actually really liked Pam. When I was like researching this, I didn't remember Pam. And I was like, oh God, a cousin character. This isn't going to be good. But I was way more invested in her in season 7 than anyone else. And they did her wrong in season 8. She just kind of fell to the background. There was like this one weird episode where she teams up with some old people to raise funds for something, and it was like this collective action thing that was kind of neat, but it was like kind of low stakes and kind of goofy, to be honest. But yeah, they should have done more with Pam. I think she got a raw deal in season 8. What did I make of the Cosby Show saving NBC? Yeah, that's and I'm so glad NBC stuck around, because a lot of great stuff came from that network in the 90s. I don't know if it's fair to say that the Cosby Show single-handedly did it, because there were a lot of shows that were starting to pick up. I mean, Cheers was pretty successful too, and some people say that show rode on the heels of the Cosby Show. I don't think that's entirely accurate. It did have a really bad first season, but it was already starting to turn things around in the second. And the Cosby Show definitely made Cheers a top 5 show as well. But there's a reason the finale for Cheers was one of the most watched finales ever. Right, that show was also very popular. So it wasn't just Cosby saving it alone, although it was obviously instrumental, and, you know, arguably without the Cosby Show, things would have been much dicier for NBC. Without the Cosby Show, would we still have Lisa Bonet? Probably not. That launched her career. It made everyone take note of her. I mean, we would still have her, and she'd be in the world, but sadly we wouldn't have had her in as many movies and stuff. Although, outside of the Cosby Show, there's not much I can think of that I really enjoyed her in. Maybe High Fidelity, I guess. That was a good movie. In my top 5. Not really, though. It's a High Fidelity joke for all the High Fidelity fans out there. I always lose myself in the chat here when I'm trying to catch up. Someone asked something. This is what happens when you're so far behind. What do I think about the Huxtable effect? I don't know what that is. I apologies. Why the Muppet crossover? I don't know what was up with that Muppets crossover. I could have included that, but that was just bizarre. For those who don't know, it's an episode where Cliff has a nightmare and he hallucinates that the Muppets are all hanging out with him. And I'm just like, what is this? Someone apparently wrote their master's thesis on that in the comment section under the video, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm curious to see what that thesis was like now, actually. Probably pretty good. What if the Cosby Show was the prior show? It would have dealt with race a heck of a lot more. Okay. Jarlison Grimaldi, congratulations for your work. Thank you. Someone asked if I grew up in New York. No, I did not. Let's without the Cosby Show, someone wouldn't have found me. That's sweet. Thanks, your local JFK meme. I'm just favorite actor on the show and when. Ooh, that's a good one. I really liked Tempest Bledsoe in the first season. I feel like she just nailed it then. She was good throughout the series, but she was so good when she appeared, and she was so young. Like, I was in shock. In the first episode, she like had me. I was like, all right, I'm on Team Vanessa instantly. That's how much I enjoyed her performance. Like that one clip I included where she's like, Rudy might be blinded for life. If she is, can we get a dog? I lost it. I thought that was so good, and I really enjoyed her. So she was good. So we'll say that. The later seasons, I think the later seasons, like, it was starting to get a bit long in the tooth, but I actually liked Pam in season 7, so I thought there were some bright spots. But the regular Huxtable kids, aside from Theo, it just didn't feel like they knew what to do with them. Rudy's stories were fine, but it felt, if Kenny wasn't there, it didn't quite have the same oomph, I felt like. Because they had already gone through 2 other daughters in the Huxtable household, right? I mean, not counting Sandra, who was an adult and was not really a part of the household at that point. But we had seen Denise and Vanessa go through similar stories, so it was tough to make Rudy fresh and interesting. And Cliff and Claire were obviously tired at that point. Whew, okay, let's catch up a little bit. People asking me about Fat Albert. I've never watched that. Hey, right? That's my full Fat Albert knowledge. Where did I find all the clips for the show? Let's just say I found them. We'll leave it at that. And I don't do this full time though. I have a day job. That's why these take so long to make. If I was doing this full time, I'd produce more of these a year. But sadly, that's not realistic right now. If you want to see that, I don't know, join my Patreon or something. It's just not financially realistic right now, unfortunately. I would love to do it though. But again, yeah, need that. Sadly, need that money. Okay. All right. Trying to catch up here. If I don't see a question mark, I'm probably not gonna read it. I'm trying to focus on Cosby Show stuff right now. We'll get to wider stuff. My opinion on Kids Say the Darndest Things. If those don't know, that's a show that Cosby hosted. Not the original, of course. He hosted like the 90s reboot, I think. It's basically that one episode of the Cosby Show where he plays with kids and like does goofy stuff with them, but like a whole show like that. That's what If Kids Say the Darndest Things was. It was fine, I guess. I think it was, simple entertainment. And I like the idea of, anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that question. The reason I said hanging out with Muppets is a nightmare was because Cliff was literally having a nightmare in that show. Or a dream sequence, whatever. He was hanging out with the Muppets. And it was like presented kind of scary. And there's some Muppets I'd want to hang out with, but not all of them. I'm not really a Muppets guy, just in general. Someone asked about my favorite season again. I said 3, I guess. I'm just kind of guessing, though, because I don't have a strong feeling about each season. And that's what it's like, I guess, when you just binge them. They all kind of blur together. But I liked the show when Lisa Bonet was on it, and she was playing Denise, as opposed to... In later seasons, it felt like she was just playing Lisa Bonet, if that makes sense. Favorite pudding flavor. Thank you for the super chat, KR. Some days it's chocolate, some days it's vanilla, although I rarely eat pudding. I thought Everybody Hates Chris was a great show. I really enjoyed it. I might make a video on it at some point in the future. I only really watched the first season, though. I guess it was just... I was reaching an age where I wasn't watching as much TV at home. So yeah, sadly I didn't get to pay as much attention to it. Okay, oh man, I lost the chat thing again. I think I'm just gonna drop down to the bottom here. If you have a question, please repeat it, because I'm like way behind. And I think I've seen that Everybody Hates Chris question like 3 times. Bill Cosby is an advertising figure. I think that's a big part of the success of the Cosby Show, and I wish I'd spent a bit more time talking about it than the video, because he was so associated with Jell-O and Coca-Cola. Like, he literally came up with one of the slogans. I think it was the Coke one. I don't even remember what the slogan is now, but it created this family-friendly image of him, and like everyone associates Bill Cosby with this family-friendly, wholesome stuff. These ads. So when his show came on, I don't think people were all like, oh, right, the guy from I Spy, that show from 15 years ago. I think they were like, oh, it's that guy from the pudding commercials or the Jell-O commercials. Someone asking about my opinion on the Bill Cosby Show and Cosby. I've never watched the Bill Cosby Show. That was his 1970 sitcom that lasted like 2 seasons. It seemed fine. Again, though, I only saw a few clips. Cosby, I tried watching it when I was a kid because I knew I'd heard of the Cosby Show. So I'm like, oh, it's his next show. This will probably be a big deal because I remember the first one was a big deal, and I just didn't care for it. It was kind of boring. I have heard of Little Bill. That's the animated thing, right? With it was like on Nick at Night or something. Something I didn't even think of including. Yeah, there's so many Cosby projects that could have been mentioned in all of this. Thoughts on My Wife and Kids? It was okay. I only ever caught a few episodes, but I enjoyed it well enough. But yeah, it was fine. Oh, someone came up with the Coke slogan. Have a Coke and smile. That was the slogan Bill Cosby came up with for Coke. Should they have changed the Cosby theme music? I thought that was one of the coolest parts of the show, actually. Obviously, it didn't hurt the ratings. People still tuned in to watch it year after year. And I think it's neat that you can, at least for the earlier seasons, know which season you're watching by the theme that comes on. And it was just such a cool idea. I like different theme songs. It was doing it before anime did it, right? I think we can all safely admit having a million opening themes to your TV series is something anime stole from the Cosby Show. I'm so glad we just solved that one, right? Okay, so what else do we got here? Right. Yeah, let's thoughts on the episode where Theo had to go out in the real world. That was weird. Like the whole fact that the Huxtables could just stop their lives to teach Theo a lesson. It's like they have nothing going on, do they? It was kind of goofy, and I wasn't enjoying it as much as Cockroach was. I'll phrase it that way. It wasn't bad. It was just kind of whatever. Favorite theme and intro is a tough one. I really liked, because I liked different dances from different themes. Like I would make a patchwork of my favorite themes. Like I really liked Lisa Bonet's dance in the season 7 opening, for instance. But I also really liked Theo's dance in I think it was season 2 or 3. And as far as the song goes, whenever I think of the Cosby Show, I think of the either season 3 or season 4's version. No, not season 3. Season 4's version. Yeah, so it'd be some weird patchwork of that. If I remade the Cosby Show today, who would play Bill Cosby? Wow, that is so hard. I don't know. Who could replace Bill Cosby? I am stumped by that. I'm trying to think of an actor who could fill that role. And sadly, I don't know anyone like Bill Cosby who had that image of family friendliness, right? Even though it was a lie. It's just not that common these days, or at least not in the stuff I've seen. I don't know. I'm not even going to take a guess. I feel like that's a bad idea. Okay. Whew. Someone's saying they hope I do a TIR movie night. Is that a real thing they do? I would totally do that if they wanted me to. Anything I wish I had said at that stream, though, that I didn't in the moment? Totally, but I don't remember it now. Yeah, but that was a fun stream. There was some commentary about me going back to watch Boys in the Hood. No, that's something I remember. I have actually watched that movie. I totally forgot I watched it. I watched it and enjoyed it, so I misrepresented myself. But I would totally be down to watch it with them or do a movie night. I didn't even know they did that. I thought we were just talking, but yeah, I'm totally down for it. Whew, okay. All right. I'm just vibing with the chat now. I feel like this is what I do at the end of the stream, but it's been a large part of this one, which is I guess I guess this is more of a vibe stream, right? We're just chilling. We're just having a good time, everyone. So let's talk about. Oh no, wait! I have something kind of fun and neat. So this is something I wanted to share. Some people wonder, like, what's it like when you make a video, Jose? Like, what is that process like? So I took a small note out of the Cosby Show script, or these were from my notes actually, not the script. So you can get some insight on what Jose's script looks like. I'm just trying to shrink this window down because it is gigantic. You can see it peeking out there. So, there we go. This is what it looks like when I write a script or when I'm taking notes on an episode. It might be a little small to read. Let's like zoom in a little maybe. So we've got like, this is from season 6, episode 23 of the season, 147. This is all copied and pasted from Wikipedia because, you know, I'm not going to write descriptions and these notes for every single episode. None of this makes it into my script, though, because I'm not a hack and I don't just read things from Wikipedia. And this is how I make notes. I make these little timestamps, various notes. I chose this one because this is an episode where Vanessa goes to see a concert, The Wretched, and I was just like in shock. You can see these exclamation points and questions about like, how is this happening? How did they just like hand over their tickets to a random guy? How were they robbed 3 times in one night? How did Vanessa's friend's house get burned down? And it was just too many coincidences. So once I've watched the episode making these timestamp notes, I include these little bits at the end. I always force myself to write something. And this was sort of like a vague general thing. Like the reaction at the end of the episode felt weird to me. It was very strange. And I was like, ooh, this is like, it felt weird. And I noticed Cliffy never expresses rage. That was something I didn't get to touch on. But you know. And then mostly this episode I thought was ridiculous because of all the luck that was involved. And I summed it up there. Robbed 3 times in one night. Place they were going to stay burns down. All of this was revealed in a news broadcast to their parents. And yeah, it's a heck of a thing to keep track of all this stuff. And I do this for pretty much every episode. So there are about 200 or so things like this in my notes. That goes on for about, I don't know, about 100 pages. So there's that. Anyway, I thought that would be fun to show. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun to put it together, and it's makes the watching experience a little more involved. And yeah, so that was a cool little extra one to show. What percentage of the show would I willingly rewatch? That's a good question. Not much, I can tell you that much. I've got a lot of stuff on my plate to watch, so I feel like right now a lot of my TV watching time is dedicated to researching videos. But if it was, assuming I had the time to watch whatever I want, the number of episodes I'd like to rewatch, I'd guess less than 10%, which works out to maybe 20 videos or 20 episodes. So there's that. Yeah. Not that it's not that it's a bad show. It's just like with a lot of sitcoms, there are only ever a handful of episodes that are truly great, I feel. And the ones that you want to rewatch multiple times. Sometimes there are like moments you want to rewatch that I get a lot more. Like that really dumb, I have it in the video where Cliff Huxtable is like making this long joke about playing a card, and he's doing this really Cosby a better example would when he sees Dabness in the final episode, and he's just like, Dabness. Where is that? I thought that was like the funniest thing. This scene right here.
Fun.
Hi, Daddy.
And it's just like Dabness. Also, looking at the comments, no one knows how to spell Dabness. It's Dabnis. There are so many different spellings for it, and I like Dabness a lot. He's probably one of my favorite reoccurring characters. Why is the chat talking about Alan Thicke? I don't. Here's a fun. Okay. Here's a fun anecdote about Alan Thicke. I actually went to see the. It was like Miss Canada or something. I got roped into going to this like when I was a child because friend of my family, or someone knew someone in my family, and we all got tickets to go, and it was so long and so boring. Alan Thicke was supposed to be the host, but he only showed up in the last like the last 15 minutes or something, and I was just like, this guy, he's the host of this supposedly important event, and he shows up 15 minutes. Like, what a jerk. But otherwise, I have no other Alan Thicke stories. Okay, from The Young City 23. A lot of the criticisms of the show not showing problems in the video were prefaced by it being a problem back when the show aired. Is there more value in the black escapism aspect today? I sense that those problems are not as big as they were 30 years ago. Maybe. I don't know how effectively or how true that is. It's harder to say, I think. That's the thing. It's one thing to sort of like focus on the escapism aspect of it, but it's not necessarily reflective of the modern day either. Is any of this what I'm saying making sense? The point is, I think escapism is fine, but a show like The Cosby Show was never meant to be escapism. It was deliberately designed to be a positive expression of a black family, the black middle class. That was very much something that was in the minds of Bill Cosby and the people who created it. It wasn't supposed to be neutral in that sense. It was to push back against the negative, but it didn't necessarily displace the negative, like in that quote I used in the video. So I don't know if we can. I mean, you can read it as escapism, but I think in many ways that that misses out on a lot of what the show is trying to do. Yeah, someone just said it wasn't escapism, it was aspirational. I think that's a really good way to describe it. It was meant to be an aspirational depiction of a black family, to inspire people. And, there's one thing I really wish I could have included in the video a bit more were those quotes. They were reflections from this paper, The View from the Black Middle Class. I highly recommend you guys look out this paper because there were so many wonderful quotes from people, just like regular people watching this thing, about what they felt about the show and how they thought about it. And it was so great. I think I recorded like 5 different quotes and I only used 3 because I felt like it was just too much from one source and it would just be a video of me reading quotes. So I cut it down a little bit. Maybe I should have included a bit more. But I think it was really it was good to get those viewpoints from like the time, right? Not just people reflecting on it in the present. And you can see a lot of the critiques that you hear today were, they were there back then too. And if the show was meant to speak to this particular group of people, or maybe more accurately, it was aimed at the working class, getting a broader look at that perspective, that experience, shows you how effective it was or was not in reaching them. Okay, Veggie AJ. Love your videos, very insightful and entertaining. Your sitcoms deep dives are great, but hopefully you are not totally giving up on doing videos on politics and political media figures. Have a good day. Well, you're going to like the next video then. So I mentioned this a little bit yesterday. I guess I can talk about it a little. Now, sure, let's talk about the next video. It's going to be a deep voice. Yeah. This is what happens when I'm reading the chat while I talk. I said voice when I meant to say dive because someone said my voice is so soothing. Thank you. So my next video is actually going to be discussing conservative nonfiction. So far, all the books I've been looking at are fiction, and I think that's way more interesting. So I went to the library and picked up a couple of conservative nonfiction books, dug into them, and I recorded it last night. It's pretty goofy. I don't know how to think about this video, because when I was going over the script, I was like, this is pretty good. When I recorded it, I was like, this is okay. And then I was thinking back on it, I'm like, oh, I don't know now. My mind is always all over the place when I'm putting together a video. And I just, I'm going to go over the audio, edit it, and hopefully it'll be good. We'll see. Someone just asked if Ann Coulter is in there. I did get an Ann Coulter book from the library, but I couldn't finish it, so it's not something I'm going to be talking about. It was just, I got like a few pages in, and I read 3 of these things. I don't want to do a 4th. And Ann Coulter's writing is just very, ugh. Ooh, wait, there was a good question back here. I think a modern reboot of The Cosby Show would be pretty tone deaf, unless they did it like they did the Saved by the Bell reboot. I haven't seen that reboot. The odds of it being tone deaf, I think, are pretty high if they did it at all, because how could you do a Cosby Show reboot after all the stuff with Bill Cosby made public? Like, some people talked about an interesting version of the show could be Theo, and what his life has been like. I forgot what the premise was, but it was a good idea. But I'm just like, that's not happening. We're never going to have another Cosby Show. Cosby's name is toxic. So it just isn't going to work. Tough break for Malcolm Jamal Warner. All right. Some people are asking, like, who are the authors I'm covering? I won't tell you which specific books, but I can at least share. There is one Glenn Beck book in there. It was probably the best written of the 3, but it was also like a meandering mess. There's a Ben Shapiro one in there, because he writes a million of them. It's like listening to him talk. It's so bad and very much just not smart. It's funny though. There are a couple of moments where it's like good stuff. Someone just asked if there's any chance of me going over the Daily Wire mess of a movie Run, Hide, Fight. I made a video about that back in January. Check that out. That was a good one. I forget the name of the video. Let's pull it up here. We'll go to the Jose channel. And there it is. Run, Hide, Fight. Go check it out. Okay. Yeah. And the last one, I don't even want to tell you the author, because he's only written one book and everyone will know exactly which book. And I spent like 2 minutes talking about it, because it was just like, what a bad book this one was. And it was funny to laugh at. And I do briefly mention Bill O'Reilly's Killing series. Do you know how many people he's killed at this point? Someone suggesting Atlas Shrugged. I probably would get a lot of views on that thing, but then I'd have to read it. Without The Cosby Show, would we not have her daughter Zoe Kravitz? I have no idea who Lisa Bonet would or wouldn't have. Oh, she probably wouldn't have been famous enough to meet Lenny Kravitz, so maybe not. So there we go. Yeah, there is a Bill O'Reilly novel, isn't there? Maybe I should read that, because I like the novels more so than the nonfiction ones. The nonfiction books are really dull, really boring. Just like the last one I read was so dull and boring. There were certain sections I was just like, I felt like I was zoning out. Yeah, I mean, anyway, that video is going to be done sooner rather than later, I hope. Hopefully I don't listen to it later today when I'm editing the audio and go like, this sucks, I want to throw it all out. Probably won't, but we'll see how it goes. All right. Yeah, enough talking about that video. I think we've reached the point in the stream where we can open it up a little more and just kind of, do a bit more vibing. I think I'm only going to go for about another 30 minutes. I voice is honestly a little tired because I was on a stream yesterday, and then I spent another hour recording. It's a very talky heavy day. But hey, if anyone's got any questions, let's just hear it. Open questions for anything you want. Do I watch any videos from Lucky Black Cat? I don't know what that channel is, so no. What's my favorite video game of all time? Good question. Breath of the Wild, maybe. Persona 4 is really high up there. Super Mario Galaxy 2. What kind of hippie am I? The kind that gets 150,000 views on his Cosby Show video. Favorite music? I like all kinds of music. I have very esoteric tastes. Everything from classical to hip hop to country, but I know nothing about music. That's my curse. I don't get into it enough to really understand it. Ever watch The Royal Family? I don't know what that is. So no. Any political podcasts you listen to /follow? All of us at the Some More News Discord love your content. That's cool that people love my content there. I appreciate that. I mean, I do listen to some of the podcasts I know Cody Johnson's been on. I'm trying to think. Polite Conversations is pretty good. It's by Anya. I also like I don't speak German. I just started listening to. That's pretty good. There's more broader political ones I used to listen to. It's been a while. For a while I was listening to The World This Week, like every week. I was really into geopolitics. There's a fun fact people don't know about me. Yeah, there's some recommendations for you. Decentralized finance. There's a topic I know very little about, and I'm going to do something I often do when I hear a topic like that. I am not going to comment on something I don't know a lot about. Favorite anime? That's an easy one. Nana, which was came out a little while ago, based on the manga of the same name. That's Nana. Everyone watch it. It's just good. Would I ever consider tackling films or YouTube? And if yes, what topics would I like to tackle? And also, would I tackle reality TV? Reality TV is highly unlikely because I never watch it, so I'm not a good person to talk about it. I have talked about a few movies. There's the Run, Hide, Fight thing right there. I'll wiggle my cursor around it. And then there was this horrible Bernie Sanders movie as well. I might do film. I always see film people. They're so clever. They're so smart. And I don't feel like I'm that knowledgeable about film. Excuse me, but possibly in the future. I know almost nothing about the Zapatistas. It's at best a superficial knowledge. So another thing I'd want to research before commenting on too much. What cartoon did I like the most as a kid? Either X-Men or Spider-Man. I'm not sure which of the two I liked more. X-Men was first, but Spider-Man, it was Spider-Man, so yeah. Favorite episode of Community? I don't know. That one where Jack Black showed up, maybe? I have a lot of fondness for the first 2 seasons, and then later on I don't know. It was still good, but yeah. Part of the things that sours me on Community is Dan Harmon is so insufferable. It started making me turn on Rick and Morty, and I don't watch that show at all anymore. I gave up. And also the fan base for Rick and Morty is just completely exhausting. Favorite pizza topping? I'm gonna be super. No, wait. I was gonna be boring and say cheese, but sun-dried tomatoes. That's actually really good. What's my Patreon? It's in the description box. If you are interested, you can click on that. Favorite novel of any genre? Ooh, tough. I'll use my smarty pants answer and say Pale Fire by Nabokov, about a critic that goes crazy and becomes obsessive with the subject. The poet he's fixated on. Definitely give that a read if you're into literature. Go after Gadsad. That's exactly what he wants. Let's just ignore Gadsad. My sexuality, straight. That's exciting, I'm sure. Okay. Top 5 rappers of all time. I am the last person you want to ask that. It jumped again. Opinion about new or old Dave Chappelle. I think he's still funny. I think he was always 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 yeah, I don't know. I still enjoy him, I guess. He's gotten a lot more, I think, socially conscious in his later years, which produces a different kind of comedy, but it's, to me, still enjoyable. Um, I can't necessarily sign off on everything he's ever said, and sometimes I disagree with the things he's saying, but he's still entertaining. And as long as someone's entertaining me, I don't need to. I don't need to agree with them 100% politically, right? So yeah, that's there you go. Do you have an opinion on the awkward politics of the MCU against the comics? The MCU's politics are completely unsurprising, considering it's produced by Disney, a massive media company that makes billions of dollars. The comics, I feel like, are all over the place. The MCU is in many ways more consistent, but yeah, the comics, depending on who's writing them, can mean so many different things. That's kind of why I like them. It's a bigger playground, and of course we're comparing like thousands and thousands of comics against like a few dozen movies and TV shows, so it's not super even. Yes, really geopolitics. All right. Someone asked Patreon's in the description box. It's still down there. What's on your Patreon? Oh, on it. You get early access to videos, name in the credits, download to the theme song, and I'm starting to do these like monthly updates. I haven't done one for this month. I'm probably going to combine it with my early video announcement just to give people a heads up on what I'm working on and stuff like that. I'm thinking of adding things to it, but time is not my friend. I wish I could do more with my channel sometimes, especially my Patreon, but I think that's part of the reason it's so anemic, and it's the great irony. If I had a better Patreon, I could quit my job and have more time to make it substantial, but I can't because I don't have the time because I'm working. So, yeah, kind of sucks. Can I cover Beavis and Butthead? I used to love that show when I was a kid. It has not aged well from the stuff I've seen over the years, so it might be fun to revisit. It's the first time it's ever been suggested, though, so a lot more people are going to have to get behind that show if they want me to cover it. What do I think of Re? I don't know what Re is. How much money do NGOs give you? 0. I do like Parks and Recreation. That might even be a fun video at some point. Okay. Why does this always jump? Okay, I'm just going to pick up from this first question I see. Why do you think far-right reactionary channels have such a strong presence and following on YouTube? I think that's related to the history of YouTube and the fact that reactionary content got a foothold on the ground floor when it first started up. It piggybacked off of the whole atheist scene, which really blew up on YouTube like 10 years ago. And then it made this reactionary shift. And once you build that audience, it just exists. It's the same reason why left-wing content does better today than it did 5 years ago, right? That audience just accumulates over time. Some percentage will often move on, but you're still going to build that total overall, unless something becomes unfashionable and people stop paying attention. But I feel like there's always going to be a built-in audience for certain types of content when that audience is being served with large amounts of content creators. That's why, in many ways, even though the whole idea of people being politically aligned or being in some kind of special community because they make YouTube videos and have similar politics, we're not all friends. We don't all hang out in a clubhouse or anything. we're not united in any real sense, but we do share an audience. And when they succeed, I succeed too, which is something I'm cognizant of, and I think everyone should be. We're connected, but not in that sense. Okay, do I think fourth wall breaks and hyper sarcasm is healthy or unhealthy for comedy or art? It really depends on the piece of art. I think there's a time and place for that. It's a wishy-washy answer, isn't it? There are good ways of handling it and bad ways of handling it. And it's going to vary depending on audiences over time. I feel like that's something that was very fashionable for a little while, and there's a very cynical element to it. I vaguely feel like that's becoming less fashionable. If that's if anyone else shares that, I don't know, but that's just the kind of vibe I'm getting these days. Watched any good cartoons lately? No. The last anime I watched that I enjoyed was Dororo. Oh god, that trash fire of discourse around that thing. I'm playing Dragon Ball Kakarot. That's got some animated cutscenes. Do I like Batman the Animated Series? Loved it. Thought it was really good. I considered getting it on DVD or Blu-ray or something at some point, but I never did. And I'd like to rewatch it at some point. I feel like there are YouTube videos about it, so I might not make a video when I do that. Have I read Anna Karenina? No, I have read Tolstoy, but not Anna Karenina. Maybe I should. I feel like I need to get into some more classics. I was in the habit of reading of them, and I have not had a chance to lately. I hope people don't mind these like long breaks between when your questions are asked and when they get answered. I'm just trying to hit everyone here. Okay, any thoughts on Batman in general? He's fine. I think he's been done to death, though. A PETA deep dive. That sounds interesting. You have my attention, Leslie Hart. I might... Maybe. PETA's a very, like... an interesting organization from what little I know about them and what I've read. It's, yeah, that could be good. Okay. Are there any shows with a legacy that is as tarnished as The Cosby Show? Ooh, interesting. I'm not sure. God. What were those shows starring that British guy? Jimmy Savile or something like that? He was like a kids entertainer who got outed as being like a pedophile or something. Was that the guy? Am I remembering this? Yeah, so those are probably worse. Those have aged less well. Memes I laugh at. I like those AI generated memes. I feel like those are the best ones. I don't have any pets. I am not such a fortunate being. Sadly. Another jump. Let me see if I can get to the next one. If NPR was a person, thanks. What do you do for work? That's private. Gatorade or Powerade? I don't drink either. I remember I used to drink Gatorade, and then I switched to Powerade, and now I just drink water. King of the Hill was a great series. I feel like it's been done to death, but wonderful series. I did watch Growing Pains when I was a kid, only ever on repeats. It's fun to look back on because of Kirk Cameron, absolutely. I look back, and it's weird to see Leonardo DiCaprio on that show too. Someone asked if I'd ever cover Cheers or Frasier. Maybe. Family Ties would be interesting. At some point, it might make it into the poll. We'll see. No plans anytime soon for Family Ties, though. I used to be a big fan of Saturday Night Live. Just responding to this question. I like the 90s lineup because that's just, what I saw when I was a kid. Although Saturday Night Live, I think it's kind of unwatchable these days. I don't know if you're like it. I hope you enjoy yourself. Not for me. Could I do The Nanny? That gets requested a lot. It almost made the poll this time, but maybe next poll I'll put it on there. That and Boy Meets World, I feel like. If I could have put 2 more shows on there, those are the 2 that would have made it. But sadly not, because I see them get mentioned a lot. Family Guy, I do not like. Let's move on. Do I like Tarantino? Not really. I've not watched a Tarantino movie I loved, and I've seen several of them. They're good. Just, yeah, I have no strong feelings about the guy. I don't even want to wade into that discourse, to be honest. I already feel tired thinking about it. What's my stance on anime? I am generally supportive of anime, but I know a lot of it is bad. But then again, a lot of everything is bad. My favorite show of all time is an anime. It's Nana. Everyone go watch and read it. I say that every time I do a stream. It always comes up. I've considered modern sitcoms. I just don't know which ones I'd cover. I'd want to cover something that's over, but like modern in the sense that it ended a year or two ago might be interesting. But the thing is, modern shows aren't as popular as older shows. Those older shows were on when there were fewer options and they had a much wider audience. Like compare something like Roseanne to The Connors. The Connors is a hit show, but it's got like what, a third the audience of Roseanne. A hit isn't the hit it used to be. I almost started watching Superstore on Netflix, but I did not. Maybe I will one day. I never watched Exo Squad. And we got another jump. I probably don't need to announce it every time the chat jumps and I lose track of anything. So let's just, I feel like there's not a ton of questions. But didn't I say I hated Batman? I depend. Some days I hate him, some days I'm indifferent. I think that's probably a good way of describing my feelings towards Batman. I just don't like how every writer feels like they need to tackle Batman and he's always just dark and brooding, and it's just like, I don't know. I always feel like enough already. I've had plenty of Batman. He can go away. How can I miss him if he is always around like this? Favorite and least favorite holiday? Any day I get off is my favorite, to be honest. And my least favorite are the ones where we say it's a holiday, but then we don't get time off work. Those are my least favorite. I remember the Hughley Show. Thank you, Deborah Strayer. Would you do a commentary on Keith Olbermann? He is a weird dude, isn't he? He was like the darling of the left on MSNBC, and he really started that network's shift towards left-wing content. But then he's like, in his personal life, he's apparently very temperamental and tough to work with. Just a weird guy. And his like obsession with Bill O'Reilly was kind of weird. Am I aware of my vocal fry? Yes, I'm aware. It is not fake. It is just how I talk. I don't know if that's why I'm popular or not. I remember people used to complain about it a lot in my earlier videos, and that kind of went away. Maybe people like it, or the people who don't like it have learned to avoid my channel. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. If that's a person's voice, that's their voice. Any affectation, I guess, is kind of boring, I guess. My name is Jose. Am I Hispanic? In the technical sense, yes, but my family is from Europe, not Latin America. Which, Hispanic in that we are Spanish speaking, but, we are not Latin American. And I feel like when people say Hispanic, they often mean Latin American. Anyway, just a thought. Would I try to cover any cartoons in the future? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Gundam Seed Destiny. Not as good as the original, but not as bad as people say. There's a hot take for people. Who is my YouTube nemesis? I don't know. Anyone? I don't know. Should I start a beef with someone? Maybe I should. Maybe I should start a beef with someone. I'm going to be hanging out with someone who's also a YouTuber later this week. I won't say who because they may not want that public. And I may be like, hey, let's beef. So if you see me beefing with someone, it's because I decided to beef with them. That might be fun. Sure. Do I have any significant aspirations beyond YouTube? Do I have a hidden desire to publish a novel? You may have guessed right there. I've written quite a lot of creative fiction. None of it's great. I don't know. It'd be fun to publish something someday. Maybe people would want to read it. I have an idea for a novel I haven't written that I think would be really cool. But, and I have written a lot of like manuscripts that I've sent out, and then people are like, these aren't good. And then they don't get published. And that's been my experience. I don't know. Maybe one day it'll happen. I haven't written anything in years, though. I really want to get back to it just because I love doing it. It's fun. My thoughts on Pat Robertson is that he's terrible. What do you think about Fraggle Rock? Very little. I've never watched it. God. Do I have a hot take on weird films like Space Jam and Shrek? I wouldn't call it a hot take. It's just sort of general bewilderment. Like, why? But whatever. I don't know. I'm not. My YouTube rival is Big Joel. I think I went on a rant about Big Joel a little while ago, but I would turn him into Little Jose at one point. Joselito. That would have been funny. Sure, maybe I'll fight Big Joel. I'm not seeing him later this week, just to nip that one in the bud. I don't even know where he is. He's like in the wilderness somewhere. I've never watched a JonTron video in my life. I think raccoons are cool. Let's see. Someone volunteering to read my novel. You don't have to put yourself through that. It's fine. Okay. Write a book about TV shows. That's a good idea. Maybe I should do that. The problem is, once I stop covering a show, I lose a lot of the knowledge I have. So I don't have like an encyclopedia in my head. I feel like when I'm in the show, I'm in it, and when I get out of it, I lose a chunk of that. So I should be writing stuff down now if I'm going to make a book about TV shows. At some point, maybe. If I want a good angle though. I don't want to just like summarize what my videos are about, because like, what's the point? Why do you need a book? Just watch the video. So if I did write a book about it, I would need some kind of special angle. Any good late night shows? I don't know. Not really. Conan, maybe. And I'm not starting a beef with Jack Saint. He doesn't need that kind of pressure. Jack Saint's a lovely guy. Do I speak Spanish? Not well. I can understand when my parents are yelling at me, and that's about it. I'm seeing Sarah said. No, I'm not. She is very much in a relationship, and she's very happy with her partner. And would I describe us even as friends? We're friendly on Twitter. That's about it. I would totally hang out with her, though, if we were ever in the same city. That's never been the case, though. Sonic the Hedgehog, it's fine. I'm not a Sonic guy. I'm a Mario guy. It's gonna turn into a fight if you want me to. I can never be fully on board with Sonic because of that, I feel. Would I ever do something on the Big Bang Theory? Probably not. It would just turn into a very long rant about how Sheldon has Asperger's, and I think it's really gross that the show dehumanizes him so much. Doesn't mean you're a bad person if you enjoy the show. By the way, I'm not trying to say that anyway, but I think Sheldon was done wrong. And the show tries to have its cake and eat it too, by having someone with Asperger's and then making that a subject of ridicule. Ferrets are I like all animals, sure. New York Times bestseller, Jose. Sure. Can we get a bulk buy going for that? Maybe we can juice that. Am I based or cringe? I'm the person who doesn't like using either of those words. I feel it's like eh. I have had people call me a furry, funnily enough, but I am not. They see the little blue jay icon and they're like, oh, this guy's a furry. I'm not. I just think it's a cute picture. I am familiar with the website TV Tropes. I do not like it because I think the problem with TV Tropes, and this could be a video, is that people reduce their TV shows to this a collection of tropes and there's no deeper or greater analysis. And I think that's a problem. Identifying a trope isn't the same as describing how it's deployed, basically. Okay. What's my favorite Mario game? It's not Mario 3. I actually prefer Mario World when it comes to 2D Marios, but my favorite one is Super Mario Galaxy 2. That's right, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Do I plan to... Oh, I just missed that. To critique Gilmore Girls. I've never watched the Gilmore Girls. Maybe at some point. Favorite ice cream flavor? I used to say cookie dough, but I've been trying lots of different cookie dough flavors lately, and none of them have been good. It's like, it should be good. I remember it being good at some point. I don't remember where that good cookie dough ice cream was, but I'll find it again one day. I don't think I would do How I Met Your Mother just because that show kind of annoys me. I watched the first few seasons, but like, I don't think it's aged very well. I definitely am not doing a Fat Albert thing. Yeah, I like animals. Not in a sexual way. Let me clarify that. Someone brings up History of the Sitcom again. I am going to try and watch that. What's a good alternative term for cringe? Embarrassing? uncomfortable, awkward. You know, the terms we used before, we would just say cringe. That's what I don't like about some of the slang. It reduces some of the nuance in language. And that's, I mean, not all slang is bad. I use a lot of it myself, but the sort of internet ones are the ones I resist the most. Any anime I'm following recently? No. The most recent one I watched, I just mentioned earlier, was Dororo. Nothing else. Nothing else more recent than that, actually. What else? Best Valve game? Team Fortress 2. There's a hot take for you. More anime stuff in the future. You know, the thing is, the Gundam Seed video did not do well with my existing audience, so I'm not sure how many of them want to see my anime takes, but I have an idea for a Full Metal Alchemist video that might be fun. I just need to see if I can carve out the time to watch it again. Right now, the plate is just too full. And again, I don't know if people want to see another anime video. I feel like it's a very vocal minority. Favorite Mario character is Yoshi, without a doubt. Okay. Favorite Pokemon monster? Squirtle, without a doubt. Favorite gen is 2, and particularly the remakes. Soul Silver, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver. But I like Soul Silver, obviously. I'm a Silver guy. Series? I don't know, the main series. I don't like scrolling down and it just drops down. Would I ship Yoshi and Birdo? I don't like shipping, but if they want to be together, I'm perfectly happy to support them and their love. Although the discourse around Birdo, I know, is strained. Birdo presents as female and identifies as such, so that's not a question. But Yoshi, like, do we know Yoshi's gender? That's an interesting question. Not that it would ever impact whether or not they want to be together, of course. If they want to be together, they should be together. But I remember reading an article in Electronic Game Monthly where they were trying to figure out the various genders of characters, and has not aged well. But they brought up the point that Yoshi lays eggs, which maybe suggests that Yoshi is female. I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But it's something that always, whenever people like reference Yoshi's sexuality, that's something that always pops in my head. But you know, in the, again, grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that Yoshi, Birdo, and all of the Mario characters find happiness, love, and acceptance. Why did Charlie Sheen take off? I don't know. People loved watching that crash, didn't they? It's a weird one. It's a weird one. I can't explain that. Gundam Death. Okay. Yoshi does lay eggs in the first Super Mario World. Isn't Yoshi a species? That's a good question. Maybe Yoshi is a species. I have no idea, because there's like green Yoshis and blue and yellow. I don't know. Yoshi is probably like a seahorse, maybe. Am I into horror films? Not really. I've watched many. I don't know. It's not really my thing. As influencers replace Disney Channel stars, I guess. I was never into Disney Channel stars. I feel like that was just a bit before my time. Have you seen Starship Troopers? Did it work well as satire? I think it worked very well as satire. You'd have to be hit on the head not to notice it was satire. In other words, if you walk away and think that movie is the model of an ideal society, you may be very confused about the world. And you may also be Sargon of Akkad. That's a funny analysis video. I know I don't like saying people's analysis is wrong, because we all have our own readings of everything, but yeah. Okay, now we're all talking about Yoshi's gender and sexuality. Whatever. It's not... it's not super important. Favorite popular media of an LGBT individual, issue, or narrative? Ooh, that's a tough one. I remember I really enjoyed Hedwig and the Angry Inch when I saw that. Mostly for the music, though, it turns out. But that was pretty good. There are probably better ones out there, though, especially since it's aged. A lot of things have aged. It's one of those things that's sort of true of any sort of issue of the day. Do a video on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Let's wait for it to end first before I consider doing any videos. I have not seen Blackish, based on the conversation I had yesterday with the folks on This Is Revolution. I don't have a ton to look forward to if I ever do. Whew. Okay. Best classical philosopher. I think we're scraping the bottom of the barrel of the questions now for like trying to get to my thoughts on philosophy, something I am certainly not qualified to ask. And someone asked favorite chat member. Wow, I'm not turning you all against each other like that. You know what? You're all my favorite chat members. And I think we're just about to wrap it up because I can feel the pain in my throat. And oh God, I feel like I need to answer these quick questions. The podcast I was on was This Is Revolution. I was on it yesterday. You can check that out. Okay, we're wrapping it up. I love all these questions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This was a much lighter, chiller stream, which I kind of expected because, the sitcom videos have a strange following in the Jose channel. A lot of casual viewers seem to be more into it. A lot of people are, they enjoy the political stuff as well, and that tends to get a big turnout. And the next video is going to be all about that, so I hope you all look forward to it. And the next live stream is going to be sort of a similar thing. We'll do a post-mortem thing, and I'll have a little more for us to go over that time. But once again, thank you all for turning out, and I hope you all enjoy my next video. Bye, everyone.